निज़ाम टाइमलेस नहीं होता। हम वक्त के साथ देखते हैं, लोग ज़माने के साथ निज़ाम अपने बढ़ाता है, मतलब अपनी रुख बदलता रहता है। तो ये निज़ाम भी हो सकता है 50 ईयर्स 100 ईयर्स डाउन द लाइन की प्रोपोजिशन शायद इतनी रेलेवेंट ना हो। तो आज इसका पहला स्टेप आप क्या देखते हैं इस शिकंजे से छुड़ाने के लिए, लोगों की हरकत में आने के लिए? पहले स्टिमुलस की क्या ज़रूरत है कि लोग रियलाइज़ करें कि हाँ, अब तो हमें हरकत में आने की ज़रूरत है? जैसे मैंने फैक्ट का हवाला सिर्फ इसलिए दिया था, यही समझाने के लिए, मतलब अपने सवाल के लिए, कि लोगों ने रियलाइज़ किया एक्सटर्नल प्रेशर पड़ा तो एक रीज़न टू आया, वो जो भी रेलेवेंट था, सही था, गलत था। इस वो शिकंजे से छुड़ाने के लिए, लोगों की हरकत में आने के लिए पहली सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट एक रियलाइजेशन क्या होनी चाहिए कि इट्स नाउ और नेवर?
अगर एक लफ्ज़ से मुझे जवाब देना हो तो मैं एक लफ्ज़ इस्तेमाल करूँगा, तलाक़। सियासत और इंस्टीट्यूशन, you've got to divorce political influences on institutional evolution, institutional functioning, institutional development. If institutions are allowed to evolve on their own without political interference, you would have achieved excellence. I have seen in many countries of the world where institutions have been totally left alone, from the tea boy to the top functionary, they evolve. In your own country, you have a good example of people from lower ranks in the army rising to the position of generals, right? So it's an evolutionary process. Now that institution has managed to achieve that particular system, and they're not being pushed around by other institutions of the state, luckily for them. Similarly, the judiciary has to be left alone. Similarly, the civil bureaucracy has to be left alone. But they must all come under the umbrella of a certain philosophy for the management of the state. And for God's sake, let, this is in consonance with our subject this evening, leave the industrialization process, the aspect of enterprise, free from political and bureaucratic interference. This country will never, never, ever get industrialized as long as they are going to be subjecting the market forces, the industrialization forces in the hands of a bureaucracy which is there to rob them. The job of the government is regulation. People who know how to regulate, are familiar with the subject, should be sitting there with global competition in front of them, and leave the rest to entrepreneurship and industrialization, and that is how the economy will flourish, will open up. Here, every stage for doing business, for operating an industry, is subject to political objectives and bureaucratic corruption. This has to end.
So talking about merit and bureaucracy and political system, why can't an atheist uh, why can't an atheist be or can be hired for a